Okay, it is tier list time. Let's not waste any time and get straight into it. So this is going to be a little bit more faster than the usual longer tier list, but if I feel like a character needs a little bit more of a breakdown, I will do it. Starting us off is Loki. Loki is an S tier character, very strong, sees a lot of pick and ban in Eternity, Celestial, and GM, which is pretty much the high elo of this game. And a very, very strong character. He can get a Luna Snow ult way before Luna can get hers. That's like, they did nerf his ult charge a little bit, but he's just so good. Great damage, great pressure, great healing. Let's just keep it moving, right? Susan Storm. I unironically believe Susan Storm, Miss Invisible Woman herself, she's by far the best strategist in the game. Like at the skill floor, you're pretty much a heal buff, but when you hit the skill ceiling of this character, you can shut down so many different things in the game. You can shut down ultimates with your cooldowns. You can shut down a Wolverine kidnap. You can shut down so many things. It's insane. Like I could legit do an entire video of just Susan Storm tips against the entire roster. If you guys want to see something like that, let me know. We'll cover it on the Rivals dedicated channel. Not much else to say. Insane ultimate. It's a sustain ultimate. What else is there to say? Let's just keep the tier list rolling. Moving on over to our next character is Moon Knight. Yes, Moon Knight is an A tier character. I think the ultimate nerf that they gave him really holds him back from going into S tier. Personally, I think people underrate Moon Knight a lot. Sometimes you don't need his angst. If you're good at controlling the boomerangs that he shoots out, then like Moon Knight can be a monster. Actually, the enemy tanks can just become the boomerangs that can just go crazy and destroy everything in the lobby. So not much else to say on Moon Knight. I think he's an A tier character. I really want to say he's S tier, but he's just not. The ultimate being nerfed does hurt him quite a bit. Although his ult is much better now to breaking through support sustain ultimate. So it's kind of a give and take type of scenario, right? So Moon Knight, A tier character. He's actually pretty good, pretty damn good. Moving over to the next character is CND, Cloak and Dagger. Cloak and Dagger kind of got a little bit of a power swap, and Dagger is a little bit weaker, but Cloak's a lot stronger. His wall got buffed up like crazy, so his damage is much better than before because the vulnerability has gone up from 20% to 30% damage increase, which is ridiculous. And they also probably did that because they know how much how strong healing is in the game. And if you're playing against like tanks that don't have a barrier or shield, they get destroyed so easily. It's unreal. So Cloak and Dagger still very good. Again, guys, I don't want to spend too much time on characters that you know are good. If there's a character that I feel like has moved up and down at tier list, then I'll spend more time with them. Next, we have Mr. Fantastic. Now, this is an interesting one. Mr. Fantastic is unironically not that bad. And a lot of people, this is basically like there's two characters in here that are in a Wolverine situation. Number one, Scarlet Witch, in my opinion. And number two, Mr. Fantastic. A lot of people only look at these characters at the absolute skill floor, and they don't try to use them for the utility that they bring. Mr. Fantastic's utility is he's probably the best anti-dive tool in the game, and against a proper dive comp, you ruin their life. And against triple strategist comps, there's literally nothing that, like, triple strategist comps do not have the damage to genuinely deal with a pocketed Mr. Fantastic just running on them, creating space because he's pretty much a tank DPS hybrid and controlling the game. So if you play Mr. Fantastic into his niche, and you know what you're doing, he's unstoppable. He also pairs incredibly well with the Thing, who's also a very good tank right now. So to me, Mr. Fantastic is just another Wolverine case where just people haven't figured out how to play Mr. Fantastic. And I have a VOD review coming on the Marvel Rivals channel where I'm just going to show you guys how incredibly strong Mr. Fantastic can be, because he is very strong. And it's just, again, a case of the Wolverine case where people just didn't crack the code. But I think I and some others in high elo have now cracked the code. So let's keep it moving. Namor. Namor's an S tier character. Do I really need to explain? The Luna Snow team up with him got giga buffed, and it's made him even more oppressive than before. He's almost a permaban in every lobby. I think everybody just fundamentally agrees playing against Namor is like one of the worst things in the world right now. He's always the first character I see get banned. He's either the first or the second. Moving on to the next character, Psylocke. I think Psylocke is good. I don't know if I want to put her in S tier this season because generally healing has seen an increase. Her damage is it's weird. Like, I might be one of the few people that doesn't put her in S tier and just put her on like a high A tier. She's very strong, don't get me wrong, but the overall sustain in the game is much stronger than before as well. So Psylocke for me is either A tier or S tier. I don't know. Her ultimate is very good. Like, her ult can bait out support ults, it charges decently fast, and usually if you can beat these supports to building your ultimate, then you can easily carry team fights with her. So she's a rough one, because then I'm thinking about the downside that, well, if the sustain is strong, then and you're struggling to confirm the kills, then Psylocke drops to about an A tier character who's just like existing for the team fight. So I don't know. I'll drop Psylocke in the S tier. I think she's S maybe S minus, like just pretend there's an S minus here. That's my opinion on Psylocke. I don't think she's as strong as a lot of people claim because of the buffs that the strategists got in season 1, where most of them saw like healing number increases in their abilities and their mid fight. It's just made her a little bit weaker. So S minus character is still very strong, though I wouldn't necessarily drop her out of it. No, actually, you know what? I'm gonna drop her in A. I'm gonna drop her in A. I don't think she's as strong as some of the characters in S tier. And next up is Punisher. Punisher is A tier. He becomes S tier when he has Rocket for the team up, but outside of that, he's good. I mean, he's nothing special. Like he does sustain damage over time. He kind of sucks at doing burst damage unless you pull the shotgun out, but the shotgun has crazy spread. But he's good. Like he's a character who can definitely make work. He sees a lot of play. He's pretty decent. His ultimate is one of the best ultimates in the game. He can burst through a lot of the support ults as well. But he needs a lot of pocketing because he becomes a little bit more immobile during his ultimate. He becomes slower. So your supports need to give you high priority. Usually if I have a Mantis, she's like hard pocketing me, give me that damage boost with my ult, and oh my goodness, you put in the work. So Punisher, A tier, very good character. Spider-Man. Ooh, Spider-Man's a rough one. I want to put him in A. I think he's actually very good. The thing is, he's very good, but the places you can play him are smaller now. Because, like I said, against like certain strategist comps, he can feel like really tough to play. And with there being a lot more emphasis on anti-dive, because like in high elo where I'm playing right now, I'm like somewhere high GM and nearing Celestial. I think so it's no, I'm nearing Eternity and then it's Celestial. So I don't know, or it's one of those guys. Just help me out. Point is in high elo, what's going on is Mr. Fantastic is seeing a huge surge in popularity, and that's because people are realizing how good he is into anti-dive situations. There's so much anti-dive, and then like the thing is anti-dive, and people have learned how to like create anti-dive comps with other characters. Bucky is anti-dive, so it's definitely harder to play Spider-Man. But I don't know, I want to put him in B. Like he's B with a really good Venom. You can go up to A. So yeah, I think he's B. I think he's good. You can make him work. But if the enemy team is well coordinated, they're grouped up, then it's really tough to play him. You should just try to take the brawl or poke based fights rather than trying to dive. Square Girl, A tier character, very good. I really don't much have anything else to say. Her ultimate rework was successful. It makes it much more consistent. She has consistent damage. She's very good on her new map, which is pretty much her hometown. So it's fitting that she dominates that map like crazy. Great poke. If you can control the projectiles and lead your shots, she can become a monster to deal with. There's some cases where her ult can actually burst through some of the support ults as well. Slept on character. People just don't play her because she's a little bit boring and straightforward. But she's very, very strong. And like 2 CC, if you have a Spider-Man on your team, you get 3 forms of CC because you can throw your nut, you can refresh the cooldown, throw another nut, and then throw the web nut, and then there's so much nutting, is crazy. I think a lot of people can take that out of context. For what it's worth, moving on over to Star-Lord. Now, Star-Lord is good. I think the problem with a lot of Star-Lord players that are climbing is they don't understand how to play Star-Lord as a flanker, and they try to play him as a Punisher-like character, and they just like shoot the tank. They never go on flanks, they never take risks, and because of that, you never see the true potential of Star-Lord. When you have the Star-Lords that are understanding how to fly around, to use his, blinks or his like dashes, stay alive, play around the team, burst the tanks, burst the supports, burst the DPS. Star-Lord is a nightmare to deal with. He also has probably one of the best ults in the game. Star-Lord, solid A tier character, almost S tier, but there is moments where he kind of drops off. Storm is S tier. Her nerfs were good, but they don't take away the fact that she's actually very, very strong. However, I will say one thing. I think Storm is one of the few characters in the game that even though she's very strong, there's so many ways to deal with her. I think all the flyers in the game, her, Human Torch, and Iron Man, there's a lot of ways to dedicatedly deal with them. That even when she gets banned, I get a little bit frustrated because I don't think she's that hard to deal with. Yes, if you're insisting on not countering the Storm pick, then definitely you're going to run into a problem where Storm becomes server admin. But she's really not that difficult to deal with. Outside of that, I will admit that in assuming the situation is working in Storm's favor, she's an S tier character, incredible character. Same thing goes for Bucky. Not much else to say. He's anti-dive, he's poke, he's brawl, he can do it all. And he just fits into everything. He can be played pretty much anywhere. Very, 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 very few cases where Bucky is not going to work, and that usually just kind of depends on the map and if the architecture ruins your momentum with your ultimate. Still pretty damn solid tier character, and not much else to say about Bucky. I don't think he needs to be nerfed. Again, I think Bucky's fine where he is because you do need anti-dive tools in the game. But I think we have to eventually look at like how Rocket's team up enables the others a bit too much. But then the problem with Rocket is Rocket's by himself is garbage, and relies on the team up. Anyways, for now, Bucky, S tier, very strong. Same thing with Wolverine. I don't think I need to explain Wolverine. I think we all understand Wolverine. Kidnap the tanks, makes them explode. Your team walks in, wins the game. Scarlet Witch, I think she's a B tier character. I don't think she's A tier. I don't like the nerf that they gave her to the kind of soft nerf her against tanks, because when was anybody ever picking Scarlet Witch to deal with tanks? But she's an incredible character if you understand how to properly utilize her E. If you can time stop people in her little bubble, there's so many kills that can happen. There's so many opportunities where you shut down somebody's momentum completely and you can just win the game. If you're the type of Scarlet Witch player that just like picks the character and holds left click and thinks you can win the game, you're legit throwing on the character and it's a garbage character. But when you understand how to maximize her Chthonian burst, the time stop bubble that she throws out, she's at least a B tier character. Extremely slept upon character. She's also very good at dealing with triple support comps, because again, like I said, there's not much triple support can do about her. She can take long drawn out fights against them, and most importantly, she can burst through all that sustained healing in the game. Hulk, S tier character. Self-explanatory. If I have to explain why Hulk is S tier, then you need to get better at the game. Seriously, Hulk is very, very strong, very OP tank. Probably, in my opinion, other than Doctor Strange, the best tank in the game. Luna Snow, also S tier, not much has changed. Mantis is in A tier. Before I put her in S tier, but I did say that she wasn't relative to the other supports or strategists. I think, like, the nerf to Mantis, I don't understand. Like, I don't think Mantis is as oppressive as a lot of people make her out to be. I think she's a fun character. She's like the Anna of this game to me. She's just fun mechanically. Like, she has to do everything with mechanics. Sure, her sleep dart or sleep spore is the only thing that is a little bit more forgiving, but given how fast and OP some of the other stuff in this game can be, it's understandable. So Mantis, A tier character, she's good. Rocket Raccoon, he's niche. And when he's not niche and you're not playing him in that niche, he drops to garbage tier. Rocket's niche is you have to play him in a poke comp, and the poke comp must at least have a Bucky or a Punisher. If you have both, even better. In poke comps, Rocket is very good, but in brawl comps, in dive comps, he's very, very bad. Please stop trying to force Rocket into all these different scenarios. I understand that, like, he's easy to play. You legit pick the character, you turn your brain off, you hold right click, and you think you're doing something. But just outright heal botting is never the way to play the game. And there's a full study on how, like, Mercy's heal bot playstyle is just like the worst one in Overwatch. And in this game, Rocket's heal bot playstyle is only really good if he has the poke comp and he's helping that poke comp and he gets that damage boost going and the poke comp is working. Outside of that, Rocket is rough. But I can't deny that, yes, I don't think Rocket is as bad as people make him out to be, but he certainly does struggle when he has to face much stronger, sustained, heavy-based supports in the game. Now, moving on to our next character is Iron Fist. Iron Fist is a B tier character. I have a lot to say on him. Maybe I'll do a dedicated video on him. But the problem with Iron Fist is they made him a little bit better of a tank brawler, and then they nerfed the way he approaches squishies in the game, which I found a little bit ridiculous. I also don't like the way the new E works. I wish you could reserve the health rather than the health decays, although I understand why they did it. I don't think he's that good. I don't think he's that bad. I just think he's in the middle where it's like there are lobbies where you can make him work, and then there are lobbies where you can't make him work, and that's all I really have to say about him. I usually pick him if there's an annoying rocket that we can't deal with, because I just lock onto the rocket and he can just never escape. He's also very good into flyers, and not much else to say about Iron Fist over there. Moving on over to Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock is A tier. Honestly, I spoke a lot about Adam Warlock in the previous tier list. Problem with Adam Warlock is his ult, it sounds broken on paper. It's very easy to counter. There's a lot of things you can do against him. Adam Warlock's actual neutral gameplay is pretty damn strong. They buffed his healing this patch. The damage division between your entire team is always going to be very good. Any good Adam Warlock is an insane, probably the best sniper in the game with how fast he can burst you down and just take you out of the sky or whatever you're trying to do. But his ultimate, the res beacon, it does kind of hold him back just a little bit because it slows down his gameplay loop. There's a lot of windows to shut it down, and even if you get the res off, people come back at 50% of their HP. It's still very easy for somebody to follow up into your ultimate with another ultimate. Like you let's say you res your whole team, Bucky goes up, slams down, kills one, and now kills everybody else. So that's the only reason why he's down in A. But he's still a pretty solid character. That's not to deny, that he's not good. He's a very, very good strategist. Captain America. I know people want to say Captain America, is actually very damn good. I agree. I think he can be very annoying. You do need a little bit of a specialist who understands how to play Captain America, to utilize his kit to go in, get out, force out resources, then do a hard commitment with the dive with your team. The problem with Cap is no matter how much the dev team wants to like bunny hop around it, Captain America desperately needs damage, and that's what's really holding him back. And once you give the damage to Captain America, I think we can now start talking about him being an A-tier character. It certainly doesn't help that this season, like I said, there's a lot more anti-dive tools. Like the thing, Ben Grimm just shits on Captain America for free. It's absurd how one-sided that tank matchup is between the two. So I think now is the time where we can kind of look at, okay, maybe Captain America needs a little bit of help, especially since healing in season 1 did go up. What I also don't like is Captain America's ultimate is basically another support ultimate. It's just like a weirder Mantis ultimate if you think about it. So I don't know if maybe we want to look at perhaps, reworking the ultimate to doing something else. Maybe it during the ult it increases speed and damage on his team, because I think he's tanky enough and he's survivable enough. There's no reason for him to become even tankier, right? So the quality of life changes to him were really nice, but in my opinion, I just think he's a B tier pick. Like he's good, but he's not good enough to reach A tier, right? Like it's one of those things where it's like Iron Fist and the others like Spider-Man and Scarlet Witch, where it's like you experiment with him in the lobby. If the enemy team just cannot keep up with your pacing, you can make the character work. If they do keep up with the pacing, they know how to shut you down, they know what to do against you. It's just better to play any of the other characters. Venom's A tier. I think what's holding Venom back is he's inconsistent, and a lot of that has to do with his primary fire, because his primary fire, the way it works is, yes, it's hit scan, but it's 4 different tentacles that are shooting out at a time. And the problem is if you adjust your camera at any point, one of the tentacles can end up missing. So what's going on is 4 tentacles with their own hitboxes are trying to hit the middle of your screen, but they don't like merge into one tentacle. They all like, tickle in that one spot. And the problem is if your camera is even slightly moved here and there, maybe 3 of the tentacles hit, but 1 doesn't. And that really holds back Venom's true combo potential to perhaps be a very good tank in the game. That doesn't mean he's not a good tank in the game. He's actually very good. There's actually a lot of combos now that people are discovering in high elo that, like, for example, with Venom and Luna Snow Ultimate, you can damage boost Venom's dive to just, like, make him one-shot everything with the follow-up into Venom's ult. So there's definitely been a lot more experimentation going on this season. So Venom, A-tier tank, I do think he's being slept upon because it's like I'm seeing very little Venom players. But I think that also has to do with the fact that the thing is so OP right now. And I'll get to the thing once we get there. Magic, A-tier character, not much to say. If you're a good specialist on Magic, you can make her work. If you can't, please get off the character. Otherwise, she's garbage tier. Iron Man, A-tier character. His new play style is you're basically uni-beam botting, and you're hiding behind your tanks, and you help melting the enemy tanks. By the time you melt the enemy tank, you have your Iron Man ult. You can burst through all the support ults in the game. If the support ult tries to counter you, well, it's fine because you just one-shot all of them. And not much else to say. He's still very easily countered. There's like a crap ton of ways to counter Iron Man. It's not always going to work. But yeah, like I said, he's a very strong pick. The fact that they buffed up his neutral Unibeam and the upgraded Unibeam is crazy. He's ridiculous, especially when Mantis gives you the damage boost. Wow, you can do some work. Hawkeye, A tier. Not much to say. Hawkeye is very good. He's still inconsistent. I like what they're trying to do with him and the way they buffed his ult, but it's just not enough. I think he's A tier, and I think him being where he is fine. I think Hawkeye is the lesser of the evil between him and Hela, because I think Hawkeye is still diveable, Hela isn't, and we're going to get to it very soon. Next up is Doctor Strange, by far the best tank in the game, still the best tank in the game, and we can clearly see that the dev team is a bit frustrated that, Doctor Strange is still the best tank in the game, because since Alpha, all they've done is nerf this character. He's never gotten buff. He's been nerf, and he still survives all the nerfs, and he's still the best character in the game. I just think Doctor Strange is by far their best designed character. He's such a cleverly designed character, and yet so simple, but with such insane strategic depth to his kit. So I don't know. I don't mind Doctor Strange. I think he's a fine character. He's really not that crazy. And I just hope the devs stop the hate burn for him, because I really like playing him. I really like playing against him. He's a pretty honest character. So with that being said, moving on over to Hela. Now, some character that is not honest. For some reason, the devs decided that Hela needed her fall off removed because she got hurt by her nerfs a bit too much. But now the problem is she's actually 2-tapping squishies across the map. Yes, it's not that consistent, but the fact that she can 2-tap anybody across the map is ridiculous. Especially when you get like a Lord Hela icon player on your team who's been grinding since season 1. Man, these guys will destroy the lobby like their life depends on it. They're very scary. She does get banned quite a bit, so I'm under the assumption she's very, very strong, and I've played with a good Hela, not played against a good Hela, so I don't want to be on the receiving end of that. Happy to say that, yeah, Hela's pretty damn strong on the poke-based maps. Moving on over to Thor. I think Thor is A tier. He's so close to being S tier. The problem with Thor right now is because, again, like I said, like healing got a buff in season 1, and sustain on its own across different characters has also gotten buffed up, because like now Moon Knight can heal himself, Bucky has more passive healing, etc., etc. It does hurt Thor's ability to kind of like, take like very aggressive brawls. But that's not to say that Thor is not good. He's very good. The only buff that I would possibly give Thor to really flesh out his kit is in his ultimate, make him a little bit faster. I think by far he has one of the worst ults in the game because it barely does anything. There's very few moments where you'll actually be able to get it off. So I definitely think when your title is the Lord of Thunder, you should be able to move around, slam down, and put in the work. Same thing with Groot. I think Groot is an A-tier tank. He can be very oppressive in the right hands. He's one of the few characters who does a very good job at countering triple strategist. Yeah, I don't have much else to say. Insane ultimate, pretty good damage output. Thumbs up for Groot. The Thing, and I'm gonna be the person who drops this hot take. The Thing is actually insanely OP. He fits into so many compositions. You can play him into dive, you can play him as anti-dive, you can play him in a poke comp, but play him very slow and slowly walk up with your poke comp and then take over the team. You can take attention to yourself. He's like a slower wrecking ball from Overwatch. He is so fun to play. He's incredibly mind-numbingly boring to play, but he's also so fun to play. I don't know how they pulled it off, but they did. He has a giga buffed Earth Shatter from Overwatch, so my Reinhardt mains out there that know how to use it, they'll be going crazy with this guy. He is very resource heavy. If you have a good support line that are pocketing you, that are holding your hand, they're making you cross the street like the old man that you are and you can't see because you got rocks in your eyes, that's fine. When you got the supports to back you up, especially Susan Storm on your team, oh my god, the additional ability plus Susan's barrier on you plus the healing, this guy is a nightmare to deal with. There's very few things that can genuinely burst this guy down. He requires a team effort to burst down. People are sleeping on the Thing's potential. Mark my words, by next season, with the way the game is shaping up, I'm actually under the assumption they're actually going to nerf the Thing, because like as the game is progressing and people are beginning to figure out more and more characters, because the one thing that people don't do is give Marvel Rivals devs credit that their characters are a lot more they're a lot more in-depth than they seem to be despite having such simple kits. The Thing is one of the characters that I feel like, man, in any lobby that I have the Thing, who knows what he's doing, who understands the bowling ball gameplay loop that the Thing has, he just takes over the game and becomes a server admin. As long as you don't feed on this character and you take those longer fights and you take those brawls, he's so good. And he's so damn good against some of the meta tank lines like Magneto Strange. Magneto Strange can do nothing about this guy. They don't have the collective damage to deal with him. They don't have the CC to deal with him. They can slow him down just a little bit, but he can take over that lobby. Especially if he comes in with like a Hulk or a Venom. Good luck, buddy. Good luck. This character is incredible and he's one of the most fun tanks to play despite such a simple gameplay loop. Speaking of Magneto, S tier tank. This is self-explanatory, so I'm not going to waste my time on Magneto. He's very good. He can counter like triple. He can counter not okay. I don't want to say he can counter triple strategies, even though he technically can. But that's because like during certain ultimates, he can charge up his Q, his ultimate, to slam down and burst through all the healing and insta kill some targets and shut it down. But you have to be good with that. A lot of Magnetos end up missing, so that's not good. But assuming that the person understands Magneto and is pushing Magneto to the absolute limit, yeah, Mag is pretty damn strong, especially if there's a Scarlet Witch in the lobby too. Black Widow. Black Widow is a niche tier pick. I can't for the life of me put her anywhere above. She's very strong in her niche. She can work, weirdly enough, as an anti-dive character. She's very strong on poke maps, so like Yggdrasil or Yggdrasil, Asgard, whatever you want to call it. Attacking on that map with her is very, very nice. Defending can be a little bit more rough because of the way the map is structured. But she's very good. So in her niche where you are playing her like Clintar, point one, attacking, defending, she's very strong. But you need to be hitting those shots. You cannot miss with this character. And I think it puts a lot of pressure and stress on her. And unironically, they're going to need to do something about helping her in the mid-fight, because that's where she's lacking a lot of strength. So outside of that, she's a niche character. In her niche, she's fine. I do think she still needs a little bit more help, but we'll see how the devs handle it in the coming season. Jeff, garbage tier. Already spoke about this. Cry about it if you think he's not garbage. It is what it is. I know he has a niche in triple support where the Luna damage can really help him out, but it doesn't matter because the other supports will out-heal that damage. He's garbage. We'll talk about Jeff in a more in-depth video in the future. Black Panther. Okay, if I have to talk about Black Panther, I'm going to do a separate video and a super dedicated video explaining like Panther's pathetic state. I don't think he's that bad, but he's been hurt really, really bad by a lot of the stuff in the game, and it certainly didn't help that a lot of the anti-dive tools like Bucky and the Thing are in the game. If Bucky and Thing are in the game, or even one of them is in the game, and then God forbid Namor is there, bro, you are a free kill on Panther. Panther needs help, but there is moments where he can basically take over the game. I agree with that, but I still think there needs to be a little bit of priority being put on understanding that Panther's gameplay loop did get hurt. I don't think he needed the nerfs that he got. And he's moving on to Penny. Oh, Penny's really weird. Penny's really weird. So in season 1, I said she wasn't that good. And that was because in season 1, I was one-tricking Iron Man. Kinda. And then I saw the vision with Penny as the game went on. But the problem with Penny is she's so hardcore locked into countering melee brawl or melee dive based compositions. If those compositions are not in the lobby, Penny is legit garbage tier. And that's just sad. Like, she gets shit on by so many things. I think there's like ways to help Penny, but and if you are trying to force Penny, bro, you better be playing like Cringe Alarm and doing some crazy setups and rollouts in order to get max value from the character. Otherwise, you're better off just playing legit anything else. So Penny, I think she's B tier. You can make her work, but if she's not working, please swap off. She's such an easy ultimate battery in the game as well. That brings us to our final character and the second garbage character, and that maybe I'll get some flack for. But go ahead, roast me if you must. Human Torch is actual garbage. He's the worst designed character I've ever seen in a hero shooter. So let me get this straight. You made a flyer, you then gave him a shotgun, you made his gimmick rely on being able to do consistent poke damage and rely on setup. You then made it so that his setup takes so long to do that anybody can avoid it and ignore it. And the only redeeming factor about him is the team up where he can make Storm's ultimate OP, but Storm builds out so fast that you can legit ignore that team up. He also pretty much, like, more often than not, loses the air duels against all the other flyers. He gets shit on by Iron Fist, Spider-Man, Scarlet Witch. Like, so many characters can destroy him. He needs a lot of help. And I don't care what anybody says. Yes, there's lobbies where you can make him work when you're playing against people that are legit AI. Especially since it's nearly confirmed that the game is using engagement-based matchmaking. He needs a lot of help. He needs a lot of help. But for now, I will stand by on my statement that he's actually garbage and he's a throw pick. Like, I would even say Jeff has moments where on maps with big drops, you can maybe make Jeff work in the triple strategist comp. You cannot do that for Human Torch. Human Torch needs a lot of help. He needs a lot of serious help. And that's just my tier list, everybody. What do you think? Let me know your comments and thoughts down below. I will see you in the next one.